Welcome back, everybody. In today's episode of Cooking with Kirby, we're going to be making some Mexican barbecue. We're going to be making Pollo Asado Mariposa. Basically, it's just grilled chicken, spatchcock chicken, but the marinade is where it's at. And that's coming up.
Since you're here, hit the like and subscribe button and make sure that the notification bell is rang. Check me out on social media. That way you can get notification of all my new recipes.
All right, to start off with our ingredients. Now, we're gonna be making like a red salsa. Now, as you can see, I got tomato and some other stuff right here. But the star of this marinade is Anchiote Paste. This is spiced annatto paste. This is a known ingredient for making al pastor. We're gonna be using this. We're gonna be using half of this. It doesn't say the weight of this, but usually when I get this, I usually use about half of the paste for the marinade. Then I just wrap it up and save it for the next time. But Anchiote paste, if you can find Anchiote powder, same thing. It's just dry, but there's many different brands that sell this. Anchiote paste is a really good flavor, and it's awesome in marinades. So we're gonna be using half of this little tub of paste. We're gonna need some cilantro. I just basically took a bunch of the cilantro and just chopped the top off. We're gonna need 2 limes, the juice of 2 limes. And you want juicy limes. You wanna make sure that they're ripe. You wanna be able to feel that they're kind of like soft on the outside, but you feel like the juice in them. So keep that in mind. You don't want a dry lime. 1 teaspoon of dry oregano. I got small garlic. This is about 5 garlic cloves, but they're real small. But if you got big garlic cloves, only use 2. Half of an onion, 3 small roma tomatoes. If you have bigger roma tomatoes, go ahead and use 2. 2 serrano chilies, a half a cup of white distilled vinegar. So since this is a marinade, I'm gonna go a little bit more seasoned. This is 2 teaspoons of salt, kosher salt. Now, I might need to add a little bit more, but I'll find that out once I mix everything together. Now, when it comes to a wet marinade, you do want it a little bit more seasoned because it's not gonna transfer all the sodium into the meat. So you wanna make sure that you season the meat well. So that's why I go a little bit heavier on the sodium. But as always, season to taste. Now, a little tip too, you can actually leave out the salt, season your chicken with salt, and then you can give this marinade and then just let it sit. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my blender and we're gonna mix all this together. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and add in our cilantro, tomatoes, go ahead and add in the serranos. Now we're gonna need to take off the little stem, add in our garlic, oregano. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and squeeze in half of that tub of paste. So yeah, this is the same stuff that they make al pastor with. It gives a really good color. Anchiote is a really good spice. To make it a little easier on the blending, go ahead and quarter your half an onion. Add in our vinegar. Okay, let's go ahead and squeeze in your lime. If you don't have a lime or lemon squeezer, you really need to invest in one. It really helps getting all the juice out of your limes and lemons. They're not that expensive either. You can go to like any Latin grocery store, they sell these. All right, last half a lime in there. Let's go ahead and add in our salt. Go ahead and give this a mix. You want this real liquidy, so you want to make sure you blend it well. I'm gonna go ahead and taste for seasoning, see how it tastes. For a marinade, I think it needs just a tad bit more salt. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add in, because I'm not putting any salt on the chicken, but like I said, you can actually add in a little bit more salt, because I do want this to be nice and flavorful on the chicken. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in another teaspoon, but this is gonna vary to your taste. Usually wet marinades don't penetrate if you don't let it sit for a very long time. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a mix and see how the taste of the sauce comes out. That's actually gonna be perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our chicken and we'll marinate it up. So this is one of the chickens. I got 2 chickens that I'm gonna be marinating. So just to show you guys how I marinate it. All right, so I'm gonna start off with the back. Add a little bit of that paste. I'm gonna just rub it in. Get you some gloves. You want to rub that paste all over the meat. You want to make sure you coat it well. Now, the longer you let this sit, the more it's going to penetrate that meat. I like to do this ahead of time, like usually a day before, but today I'm actually going to be cooking it today. So this is probably about 4 hours right before I'm actually going to cook this. And when you actually place this in the pan that you're going to be putting it in, you want to make sure that you drop some of that marinade on the bottom so that way it can sit in it. All right, go ahead and give that a flip. Now we'll start on our other side. Okay, so you want to actually pull back the skin on these. Try not to get my right hand dirty so that way I can keep feeding marinade. All right, go ahead and get some of that marinade between that skin there. Go ahead and close that up. Go ahead and pull back this skin. Now this recipe actually comes from a restaurant in Mexicali. Mexicali is the capital of Baja California. I live probably about 40 minutes away from Mexicali. Now the owner of that restaurant is a real good is a father of a real good friend of mine. He gave me this recipe. I've ate at his restaurant before, and it's phenomenal. You make this. Pollo al carbón is what the name of this recipe is. And actually, you know, with all the sides and everything, they don't serve it up in tacos. They serve it up with sides, kind of like Pollo Loco, but not Pollo Loco. But yeah, you know, wonderful food. And when he shared this recipe with me, he knows I like to cook, so man, I gave it a try and I was like, I like it, you know. But so thank you for that recipe. I've been, you know, making it like that ever since. So I got the baking sheet here. I'm gonna go ahead and lay down a little bit of this marinade on the bottom. Go ahead and transfer over. We'll go ahead and get in the breast. All right. All right, so we got it marinated on the bottom. So we're gonna just go ahead and add a little bit more over here on top. And we're gonna put this in the fridge and let it sit. Now, like I said, you wanna let this sit. You know, you want that marinade to get in the chicken. So the longer you let it sit, the more it's gonna penetrate. And so when I do this, I like to marinate it the night before. That way it's got enough time to be able to. And the leftover marinade, don't get rid of that, because when we're actually cooking it, I'm gonna be basting it on there so that way it can get all that flavor and just intensify on top. So I'm gonna get this in the fridge and I'll see you guys on the grill. So we're gonna be using my Pit Boss Austin XL pellet grill. So we're gonna go ahead and open up and we're gonna start her up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and turn the unit on. It's in the off position right now, so we're gonna go ahead and turn it to smoke. And we're gonna let it come to temp.
When you first turn on your Pit Boss, you're gonna get some nasty smoke, so you wanna keep that lid open. But once it starts to clear out, you wanna go ahead and close it up.
Right now I have it in the smoke setting. The smoke setting is a special setting on the Pit Boss. You have different settings, the P settings is what they call it. 0 all the way up to 7. Right now I have it set at 4. If you put it to 0, it's gonna be feeding the pellets often. Now what it usually does is it'll feed for 18 seconds and it'll back off a little bit depending on what setting you have it at. And then that time, during that, you know, off period, it won't feed no pellets and it'll just, you know, burn off those pellets. And then it'll, for another 18 seconds, it'll add more. So for the 4, it'll actually feed for 18 seconds and then it'll stop for 115 seconds. And then after that time again, it'll feed another 18 seconds. So that's what we're gonna be doing. And we're gonna let this chicken cook for about 30 minutes like that in this setting. All right, now that we got the grill up to about 225 degrees, we're gonna go ahead and put our chicken down. Now I let this chicken marinate for probably about 4.5 hours. So we're gonna take some of that marinade that we have left over in the pan. We're just gonna top it. Get all over on the top. Because when this becomes, you know, nice and crusty, it's gonna leave a nice outside exterior on this chicken. All right, now that we got them basted up with the remaining drippings of that marinade, we're gonna just close this up and we're gonna let this smoke in this setting for 30 minutes. In Mexico, this type of chicken is usually cooked over some type of like wood fire pit. My family members over there in Mexico, they don't even have grills. All they have is like cinder blocks and just a grill grate, a large grill grate, and they just, you know, that's how they cook. You know, they're all constantly moving stuff around, and it's just, you know, it's a hot experience. They're pumping out food and, you know, serving up the family, you know, a delicious meal. But so to keep it kind of like traditional in that sense, you know, they use a lot of like mesquite hardwood, you know, logs and stuff like that. So the pellets that I'm using today is mesquite. It's a pit boss mesquite, and it smells really good. You know, it's got that earthy, sweet smell to it. It's gonna be really good on this chicken. Pollo al carbon, if I let my uncles cook it, it usually comes out burnt. You know, traditionally it's like real dark reddish, but black. After a couple years watching how my uncles, you know, and my father cooks, I grew up not liking that. You know, it leaves like a real bitter, just charred taste. I mean, it's not the good char, it's the nasty char, like to the point where if your meat's cooked to where it's like completely dehydrated, that ain't good. But, you know, a little char is good, you know, but you want that good smoky flavor, and then, you know, especially if you're putting a marinade on there, you want it nice and flavorful. So that's what we're trying to achieve today, is a nice, juicy, flavorful chicken, but with some nice smoke flavor on there. So our 30-minute timer for the smoke session is almost up, and then I'll show you what temperature I'm gonna be putting it at. All right, so our 30-minute timer is up. So we're gonna go ahead and raise the temperature of this grill to about 300 degrees. 300 should give us a faster cook, but it'll still be nice, low and slow. So that'll give us some, you know, good cook time. So I'm gonna actually check on it about 30 to 45 minutes. All right, it's been about 40 minutes. Let's take a look at our chicken. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and rotate our chickens. Bring this one this way. As you see, they're starting to get, you know, dried up. Go ahead and flip them. That one's got some good color getting on there. Now we're gonna go ahead and baste some of this marinade right here on top. You want to make sure that you get a nice good coating of that marinade. Kind of treat it like barbecue sauce, like if you would like barbecue chicken. But this marinade has a really good flavor, so you want to make sure that that gets nice and like sticky on there. All right, now that we got everything basted up, we're gonna go ahead and close it up, and we're gonna let it go for another 30 minutes. So we'll check back. So 30 minutes has passed. Let's go ahead and check on our chicken. It is looking fabulous. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and give this a flip. Oh yeah. Now see, that's the black that I like. Now when it's like super, super burnt, I'm not feeling that. All right, so since these are probably cooking a little bit fast, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and check these. See what the temp they are. And it seems like they're done. This one, the breast on this was, it's already temping close to 162, 163. Go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and let it go until about 165. Looks like it's pretty much done. 165 on that one. Let's go ahead and check this breast. Now when you check the breast, you wanna make sure that you get like the middle, since we have it, you know, separated. You know, it's cooking, it can cook evenly because it's catching the bottom of it. 167, so we're pretty good on the breast. The skin's got a good color. It resembles that pollo al carbon look. You know, that dark look that, you know, that they let burn. But this looks really awesome. I like how this looks. I kind of want to give it another pass, but I mean, yeah, I mean, this looks really good. So we're gonna go ahead and take it out and let's get to the taste test. Chicken looks really nice. It's got a nice color to it. The skin is just nice and a little crispy to it. Ah, it smells so good. This is basically salsa on chicken. I can't wait to get into this. But definitely, if you're doing this on the Pit Boss, it does cook harder on that side. I'm not a stranger to hot and fast cook, so I mean, hey, I got this done in an hour. So, but even though you're setting it to 300, you're not getting a true 300 if you're putting your food over there. In reality, 300 is closer to the left side. So if you're picking up this, you know, pellet grill, keep that in mind. But I just want to dig into this already. So I ended up cutting off a piece of the wing and the flat. This is so damn delicious. That marinade is just insane. It impresses every single time. It impresses every single time. I mean, even though it's a salsa, it's kind of loose, it has really, really good flavor. You guys gotta try this, definitely. If you're new to my channel, consider hitting the subscribe button. That way you see future videos just like this. As always, I'll leave a link in the video description and in the comment section so that way you can go to my website, cookingwithkirby.com, to get the full printable recipe. I have these recipes, they're really good, you should try them out. Now y'all be beautiful and take care.